All righty. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Are you jazzed? Are you caffeinated? Excited for your last day? Yeah, rotation 5 of 5, so you have now conquered them all. And you've saved the best for last. Yeah. So welcome. We're going to talk about woman-on-woman sabotage. Woo! No, this is going to be, we're going to have a great conversation today. We're going to have some interaction. You guys are going to talk to each other, very much open, free form, and I will tell you, I joked with the first group and I said, I guarantee you every one of these sessions will be different, and that has been 100% true. So we will see what comes up today, because all of your lived experiences will probably influence how we take this and where we take this. And for anyone who didn't catch it, your little intro song here was Mean Girls on Broadway, Apex Predator. Excellent, excellent. So I would recommend checking that out. But before we get started, half of why we're here this week is to get to know each other a little better. So hello. For those of you I don't know as well, my name is Morgan Harper. I have been at CHEP almost 9 years, which is a little bananas. I don't know where the time went. I've had 7 roles in that time, but I've spent almost all of it in supply chain. I ran away to marketing and strategy for about 1.5 years and came back 1.5 years ago to operations to lead our strategic operations group. And Laurent was asking me, what exactly does StratOps do? We could have a whole hour session on the stuff we do and work on, but I like to call us the bigger, faster, stronger arm of ops. So we're here for everything from contracts to strategy to business intelligence, some audit and on-site support work, so a little bit of everything. Very fun if you want to learn more about it. Me personally, so a few things. I love to cook. If you didn't know, I'm constantly in the kitchen. I also love to DIY, but this is less Pinterest DIY, more like I built a set of stairs DIY. So I do a lot of work around the house. And then Reginald Washington Harper is the love of my life, my floof monster up there. There he is. I know, he's the cutest. If he were here, he'd be greeting all of you. And then this week's theme, right? The power within you. So we are in Chicago. 2017, I ran the Chicago Marathon. Yeah, you say that. I will use the term ran loosely. I'm not aerodynamic, I am not fast, but I just refuse to stop. And that kind of is pervasive in how I approach my career too, right? I like to do hard things, stuff that kind of maybe scares some folks. I get excited about it, and I refuse to run away from a challenge. So that's me and who I am. And a little warning label as we dig into this topic today. So I'm going to use a lot of gendered terms, and we're going to talk about studies that have been based on gender and biological gender. And I throw this out there because, one, I think we've done an incredible job at CHEP of being super inclusive and learning how to work better with each other and recognize each other's needs. But a lot of the science here, a lot of what we'll dig into, is based on some traditional scientific methods. So don't take this to mean that everyone is the same. Recognize that this is kind of how we had to approach it, but I think we're still gonna have a great conversation. Awesome. All right, and I will also say we've got a bit of a theme today. So I have a dense topic, right? This is probably the least fluffy one of all the rotations. So we have a movie theme. Right? When you take movies in Chicago and you put them together, there's only one giveaway that I could have. So I have a small mountain of Garrett's popcorn. If you've never had it, it is incredible. And you will have the opportunity to win, and here's how it's gonna work. So at several occasions throughout today, I will stop and say, okay, here's an opportunity for popcorn. So you can all get ready, it's not a surprise. I will ask you a trivia question about the movie at hand. They've all been different in every session, so no one gave you the answers, I promise. First hand in the air is the person I'll call on. You get to win popcorn. Easy peasy. If I'm not certain which one was first, I have a couple of very neutral, unbiased tiebreakers in the corner. They are prepared and ready. All right, so sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to start by kind of setting the stage for why we are talking about woman-on-woman sabotage. Here's a photo, circa 1961. What do you guys see? A homogeneous squad of white gentlemen wearing basically the same suit, sitting around a conference table at a company to remain unnamed. This was not unique to one company, right? This was very common 60, 65 years ago. This was pretty standard. This is what business looked like in a lot of cases, because the world was very different. So we're all going to put our imagination hats on. We're going to take ourselves back to 1961. You are now an incredible businesswoman, and you are the first person who walks into this room, the first woman who gets invited to this table. What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I hope no one asks me to bring in coffee.
I hope no one asks me to bring in coffee, yeah. Do they know I'm here to work, right?
Tough crowd.
Tough crowd, yeah.
Hyper aware of probably how I'm dressed or how I look.
Absolutely. I worry about that to this day, all right? I'm going to a site, there's a customer, what do I wear?
Will I be invited back?
Will I be invited back? Will they recognize my talents? Why am I here? Why did they invite me here? Right? So, you came to this room. You've been a rock star for a year, right? You've been rocking it. You're doing great things. They're starting to recognize you. You found your seat at the table. A year goes by. You walk in one day and a second woman is at the table. What do you think now?
Another one. Yay.
Yay! We are so excited you're here. I'm not alone. Hey girl, hey. Competition. Why is she here? What was that? What did I hear?
Mean girl managers.
Mean girl managers, maybe. I don't know. Right? Is she my manager? Is she my peer? That's a great question. Is she here for coffee? I don't know. Who is she? I want to be her friend. Or is she here to take my job and my spot? Because they've never let more than one of us in before. Whoa, right? Some of us here have probably had similar experiences to that, right? We work in supply chain. We've been the only woman in the room sometimes. But you think back, when every company was going through that, in every boardroom, that is a lot of tension, right? What was the phrase earlier? A highly charged situation. So 60 years ago, big problem. Where are we at today? Y'all know I like data. Pre-apologies, this slide is hard to see, but this is from a 2023 study done through LinkedIn about women representation, right, by industry. So your orange dot is the percentage of women represented in that industry, and your purple dot is women in leadership roles. So this actually kind of ties back to what Xavier was talking about. And if you're wondering, since you can't see super well, at the bottom down here where you see more representation, you've got things like wellness and fitness, healthcare, education, communications, right? Traditionally, a little more female-heavy industries. Where would CHEP be if we were on this marked out? You've got towards the top here, transportation and logistics, manufacturing, construction. We're probably closer to the top end of that list. So, huge improvement, but still an environment where we are going through those growing pains, right? Where we're going from one woman in the room to 2 to 3 to 4, and that breeds competition, and that breeds a lot of interesting emotional responses. And that, my friends, introduces the concept of the mean girl. Mean girl. All right, so who here has seen the movie Mean Girls? Awesome. I looked all over the internet for a clip that would be appropriate for this audience. There's none. There are 0. So you've seen the movie. You guys know the story of the movie? Yeah, right. New girl comes to town. She's super pretty. She's also really wicked smart. She also starts talking to the one cute guy. Chaos ensues, right? So think about that story. What can you guys tell me about competition there, about the way our lead characters here related to each other?
Yeah. I just think, so Katie is the main
We have competition right there for popcorn, I can tell. Okay.
I mean, she just came in. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm getting ready to go into the public education system. I've been homeschooled my whole life, and I just know math. Math is the same, and so she has a crush on this guy. And Regina George, this girl, that's when the competition's like, hey, she's talking to my ex-boo. She's smart. She's friendly, and I'm the complete opposite of those things. So naturally, she's jealous, but instead of getting to know, she gets to know her, but in a sneaky way, a conniving way. So,
Was this on last night on TV?
But no, like, for me, like, you see that a lot where people aren't genuine, and so they in Regina's cases, she was felt inferior compared to Katie, and used her popularity to come on my side and be under me.
There was some big power plays there, right?
Yeah.
The manipulation and the gossiping.
Yes.
Holy hot dogs, the manipulation, the gossip. We're going to talk a lot about that. One of the things I want to start with, because we're thinking about what causes this aggression, this sabotage, right? A lot of it starts with competition, right? So the ex-boo, who we talked about, right? Lindsay is talking to the ex-boo. How do girls deal with that? Territorial, behind the back. We play the long game. We hold grudges, and we hit you where it hurts 6 months later, right? If we take this story and we replace it with men, right, 16, 17-year-old guys, how would they handle fighting over a girl?
Fist fight.
A literal, like we're gonna get in a room, we're gonna hash it out, maybe we actually fight, and then tomorrow we're still on the baseball team together, it's fine. Yeah. Very different conflict styles, right? So you think about competition and competitive nature and how that relates to conflict. And you start to kind of zero in on the things that drive sabotage-like behaviors. Right. So we're gonna have our very first movie clip here, okay? Now this is a practice round for popcorn. Are you ready? Are you ready? So, The Parent Trap, right here. Who here has seen The Parent Trap? Good majority, excellent. Both of them. Which one's better? I like this one better. I know, controversial opinion. All right, so for popcorn, what is the job of the dad in the movie? Yes, sir.
He's a vintner.
Vintner, yep, he owns a winery. Awesome, here you go, Rabab.
Let's go.
I got a feeling he's just winning them all.
It was fast, man.
Here I go. Ready? Ready. Set. On guard. Bench.
is everyone staring? Can't you see it? See what? The resemblance between us. Resemblance? Between you and me? Let me see. Turn sideways. Now the other way. Well, your eyes are much closer together than mine. Your ears, well, don't worry, you'll grow into them. Your teeth are a little crooked. Oh, and that nose, well, don't worry, dear, those things can be fixed. Let me get Decker for you. Hold on. I'm not quite finished. You want to know the real between us? Let me see. I know how to fence and you don't. Or I have claws and you don't. Take your pick. Why, I oughta.
Ladies, it's time to break up this little love fest. Annie, Hallie, Annie, I mean.
One of my favorites. So talk to me about what we saw there. Very different from Mean Girls. What did we see?
I don't know, one looked a little, like a little fearful because she didn't understand how someone could look exactly like her. Like she didn't understand what she was seeing, so then she got really like defensive.
Yeah.
The attack.
Yeah, it's an interesting added piece, right? Imagine coming upon your long-lost twin. That adds some complexity here. But even aside from that, right, she was like, hey, we're the same. And the other one was like, no, we started this conflict back here. I'm not about to admit that we are anything alike. What else did you guys see?
So they were equally friends and cast around them.
What was that?
Their friends around them, supporting them.
Yeah, so their friends immediately picked sides.
Yeah.
Very quick, instant, ready to roll.
They were equally matched at fencing, and they were both the best.
Yeah, they were equally matched, which is an interesting thing, right? When you know someone is as good as you are, makes you a little territorial. But also, did they start out as enemies?
No, they were friendly. It was friendly competition.
Hey, good job,
Yeah.
right? Friendly competition. Maybe you're gonna be one of my besties. Maybe you're gonna come in and help me be even better. But then in like a split second, we went from friendly competition to I'm going to take you down. And this is gonna turn into all-out summer camp war, which it does. It's pretty solid if you haven't seen it, right? How quick did that happen? 3 minutes and 1 second. 3 minutes, that's movie time, right? But who has seen that happen in real life, right?
Especially when they got an audience around them, it amplified it.
All these external factors, energy feeding off from each other. Now, unlike a lot of female behavior you'll see, right, this was in the face. This was pretty much right there, but everything they do after this is not face-to-face aggression. It's not face-to-face sabotage. It's, I'm gonna rig your room at night while you're asleep, and you're gonna wake up in the morning and get pied in the face, right? It's those underhanded, sneaky things that we tend to do. Anything else anyone saw here that they want to bring up? No. All right, so I always try to give you a little bit of science, a little bit of data-driven background here. So where does this come from? So we started by talking about high schoolers, right? You assume in high school, I remember being a 15-year-old girl, we were not nice. We were not. Then you see an example, similar behaviors, a little bit younger, right? That kind of preteen stage. But really, when you start reading some of the studies that have been done around behavioral psychology and women, and particularly even in young girls, it's very interesting. So the National Institute of Health did a several-year-long study of thousands of girls from the ages of 9 to 16 and watched their behaviors. Watched how do they react in certain situations. What's the driver here? What happens? And so if you're going to take a single technical takeaway term today, relational aggression would be the term. Right? That is the science name for woman-on-woman sabotage. Right, now, what causes it? We've started to talk a little bit about that. Typically, the thing that starts it all is a real or perceived slight. So what's an example of a real slight? Anyone? Yeah.
I have an 18-year-old daughter.
Love it. Relevant.
I've 100% witnessed this full on. She has a a friend of hers had been friends since they were 14 to 16, and her friend perceived that she was not spending enough time with her, and it turned into this, it was devastating for my daughter, who's just a passionate, wonderful person, to have this friend that she's known for so long to just boot her out as a friend just because she didn't think she'd spend enough time with her.
Yeah.
And it was, not intentional.
Yeah, so perceived, stuff in the head, right? Like, I don't think you're spending enough time with me. You looked at me a little weird last time we were on the playground together, right? I think I saw you wink at my boy. Like, come on, right? Those things, the ideas that our heads make up. Now, a real slight would be, if I said, Nikki, I don't think you look good in black tops. That's a real slight, right? That's obvious that, okay, we get it. The perceived ones, though, and Nikki looks excellent in her outfit today, no question. I knew you could take it, me, right? So it could be something real and direct. It could be something that's entirely coming from your head because of outside influence, or maybe the fact that sometimes we rabbit hole on interactions with people because we value that, right? Now, after that, right, when we think about that's what starts it. But normally, why is it happening? Well, it's because we're out for personal gain. We're out for personal gain, something like status, so popularity, right? Or a desired object. It could be anything from I wanted to win the science fair to the promotion at work, the spot on the project team, right? So you start to think about this and think about how all these pieces fit together. And you can start to see, and I bet some of you are sitting there right now thinking back on experiences throughout your life where you're like, yeah, this was some kind of mean girl behavior, right? This was some of that backhanded underneath, and maybe you didn't do it, right? Maybe it's not in your instinct, but those around you behaved in some of these ways, and so you start kind of landing in opportunities that made it very uncomfortable for another woman in your life, right? Yes?
Could some of it be learned behavior?
Absolutely.
Because I have seen teenage girls, and once I met their mom, I'm like, oh, that's why you are like that. Like, this is a carbon copy.
There's a nature-nurture component in all of this, right? You have biological instinct. You also just have the way you behave, and then you have the things you've watched your family do, your friends do, the things you've watched be accepted around you. Like, oh, this is just how we relate to each other. So I think a personal example for me, again, I'm not aerodynamic, but in middle school I was a cheerleader. Surprise, I know. And our coach allowed a really toxic environment. I don't think she realized it, right? She wasn't out there trying to, say, you guys go be mean to each other. But she would see this competition building and growing, and she let it happen, right? In a way that was not healthy for anyone. So to your point, the adult influences in young girls, absolutely, there's influence there. It's kind of a combination. Okay, next movie clip, no popcorn this time. I'm gonna watch this one.
Hey, Blaine. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, feel your foot. I was in the neighborhood. Thought I dropped by. Everybody happy. Everybody get
Don't be taking those women any more pies. You understand?
How'd that feel? Hurtful, yep. Yep. So what do we see here? What happened? Excluded. Have a lot of y'all seen The Help? Yeah. If you haven't, excellent movie, tackles a lot of topics. The 50s, 60s were a wild time, a lot going on. But our main character there, she's new to town. Again, kind of a theme, right? Someone new coming in. Very pretty, a little bit different from everyone else. And she's being excluded. She's being excluded. Who has seen something like this happen? Right? Exclusionary behavior. This is a social example, but could something similar to this conceivably happen in a professional environment? Right? So, right, I'm on a team, Kim's on a team with me, new girl shows up, I tell Kim, I don't think I like her. We don't invite her to lunch. Next thing you know, new girl has all these thoughts in her head of maybe a real situation, maybe not, and things start to spiral, right? Really unproductive relationships start to form because of maybe one kind of rash thought or one, person who wasn't as open and accepting to someone new coming in. So we have talked a lot about, some social examples, where this comes from. So I want you all to put on your work hats now, CHEP hats, so actual helmets. No stickers allowed, that's out of spec. What would woman on woman sabotage look like in the workplace? What do you guys think? Yes, Rachel.
Just excluding people from emails or calendar invites that should be attending.
Exclusion, right? That's pretty direct, pretty forward, but what about not sharing a tool or a tip or a trick with someone? That's sabotage. What else? Yes.
I would say, because I've seen it done, where there might be someone that'll copy your boss on an email or something that could have been a phone call or, could have just been you and that other person on the email.
Yeah.
Just to embarrass you, I guess you could.
Yeah. Escalating things, I also like to refer to the email gangsters. Right? You'll put things in an email that you would never say face to face, right? And maybe it's not outright, mean. It can be really strong words that can hurt, that can last, that can then create a perception of you, right? And again, things spiral. We have lots of snowballs happening here. Yes?
Maybe stealing credit for someone's work.
Yes. Stolen valor in the workplace. Absolutely.
Seeing a coworker make a mistake, but not bring it up, let it keep on going.
Watch them fail for a while, let it happen, let it keep rolling. Yeah. Gossip. Right? Right? And it's interesting, right? We as humans, and even when you think more broadly about CHEP culture is very relationship driven. I mean, we are not where we are without the people around us, 100%. And so because we have such strong interpersonal relationships, gossip is something really easy to fall into, right? It may not even be nefarious in intent. You may be, did you hear this about so-and-so? And you're not thinking anything bad about them, but then, again, you've created an environment where maybe that person's not gonna be as seen as highly anymore. Or maybe you don't like them and you are actively sabotaging. But gossip's an interesting one. It can come from all sorts of motivations. Diminishing each other, I think, is an interesting one, right? So let's say you're on a project and you need someone with a very specific skill. And you come and ask me, right? Hey, Morgan, who would you recommend for this? And I know the best person is this person, this woman who I'm not a huge fan of. And so I say, well, you might assume Nikki, but I don't know if she's as good. Right? That is the absolute opposite of what we want to see happen, right? And you're gonna start to see as we progress through the rest of this conversation, all these things tie together, right? The way we relate to each other and all of the diversity goals we have and all of our leadership principles, all of them relate, right? And we always want the best person in the best role and on the best projects for them. If you've taken lean thinking, right, the major wastes, we don't waste talents. We don't waste talents. And the lack of support's the last one. I think Laurent kind of hit on it, or maybe Rachel. You need help. Someone asks for help and you don't give them help. Right? All of these can be forms of sabotage. Right? Okay, next video. Popcorn opportunity. Not gonna hit play yet. First hand in the air. First and last name of the individual you see on the screen. Miranda Priestley. Yeah, I'm gonna count Presley. Which of these two? Kim. Meryl Streep. Both names, got it. I love it.
No style or sense of fashion. I think that depends on.
You're welcome.
What's your question? There's some reason that my colleague isn't here. Has she died or something? I don't understand why it's so difficult to confirm the point.
I'm so sorry, Miranda. I actually did confirm
Details
last night.
of your incompetence do not interest me.
Hey.
Breakfast here, my eggs here. Where am I? On the lingerie shoot. On my car. We're on Madison. Get us a reservation for dinner. Good for you, my friend. You know it's delivered today. Where is everybody? Why is If you don't have that Harry Potter book by then, don't even bother coming back. Oh, don't be ridiculous, Andrea. Everybody wants this. Everybody wants to be us.
All right, Devil Wears Prada, a classic, excellent movie. What'd you guys see? Tell me a little bit about conflict in The Devil Wears Prada, because I assume a number of you have seen it.
Hubris?
Sorry?
Hubris?
Hubris, give me more.
Like excessive pride.
Excessive pride, okay, yeah.
And then treating people as they're less than you.
Yeah, because of status, perceived status, right? There's a peer relationship there. The one who's been there longer, and then our new, girl shows up. I'm forgetting her name right now.
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, yes, it's been a long week, right? She shows up, and the person who's always been there is like, I had to learn this the hard way. You have to learn this the hard way. Makes it hard for her. What else?
It just seems like Meryl Streep has had to really fight to get to where she is
Mm-hmm.
in the movie, and she doesn't, pay it forward,
Mm-hmm.
and she kind of takes it out on her assistants, and they, the one who's there, Emily Blunt, she doesn't pay it forward, she takes it out on the new girl.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a very toxic culture.
Yeah.
Humiliating.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I know this wasn't shown, but Anne Hathaway had to conform
Mhm.
to her environment instead of being her authentic self.
Mm-hmm. She didn't fit. She was a little different. She was smart. She was capable. She didn't have the social ins yet, right? And a lot of people made her life very difficult. Very difficult. I think you started to hit on something, though, that is interesting. So what's one difference in what we just watched versus everything else we've talked about?
She was a leader. She was the boss.
This is the first time we introduce the concept of woman-on-woman sabotage and aggression and how that relates to leadership relationships, right? Peer-to-peer relationships are one thing.
Yeah.
Working with that mean girl boss that came up earlier, what's that like? It's crazy. Yeah, I'm very lucky. I have not seen that here at CHEP, but I've had that in my life. Right? So and I know some of you have teams, some of you probably have aspirations of people leadership someday. So what responsibilities do we have as leaders? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Inclusivity, right? And this starts to go a little bit beyond just women on women, right? This goes on to the we are pro everyone approach. We have a responsibility for inclusivity and for watching out, right? When someone new shows up, you gotta make sure they get pulled into the culture, that they get pulled into the fold. What else?
Leading by example.
Lead by example. Lead by example.
Promoting it, really. You really have to promote.
Promote the incredible women around you. I think there's one thing here. I'll tell you all, the first time I led a team where I knew without a shadow of a doubt that the people on the team were smarter and had skills that I did not have was a very scary day. Right? You know it's coming. You take on a role and you're like, they're going to do some stuff that I can't do. I think every person in this room knows that Kelby Brooks has skills that I do not have. Right? And so you take on the role. You as a leader, and this again goes beyond gender, but you as a leader have to be excited about that, right? Because what are some of the bad things that can happen if you feel maybe territorial?
You'll limit their potential.
You'll limit their potential, maybe even directly, right? That's one of, when you think about a really bad leader, no, I'm not gonna sign them up for a project, right? I'm gonna hold them here and they don't get to go anywhere else.
Becomes an environment of selfishness instead of mindfulness.
Right there. Xavier hit on it earlier, right? This concept of creating an environment that people want to be in, right? Part of that is making sure that these sabotage behaviors don't happen, right? The last thing I want to see happen is us get incredible women coming in to join us, and then they don't get included, they don't get pulled in, they don't feel supported, and then they leave. And then, my goodness, everyone here knows how painful it is when we onboard folks, right? It takes time to learn what we do. So we've got to invest in that. And that investment comes in both the technical stuff as well as what I like to call the culture fit, right? Helping them come into our culture, helping support that. Anything else? Yes?
Well, there won't be a leader if there's no team. So if you're going to be a leader, you shouldn't do things out of your personal game, but for everybody's game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think Kim kind of touched on it a little bit when she talked about in The Devil Wears Prada how Anne Hathaway's character she was not like herself.
Mm-hmm.
And so tying it together with not only inclusivity and bringing them along in the culture, but just making sure that they can be their authentic selves without changing how they dress, how they speak, or I can use myself as an example, the Alabama accent comes out a lot. So, that's just along with bringing them along into the fold of the culture, allowing them to be who they are authentically.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Which is easier said than done some days. Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah. Helping them be incredible and represent themselves well without changing who you are.
Yep.
Right? I mean, I think everyone here knows that I'm a cheerleader. This is my personality. You get it all day, every day. And I love that Chep has never, ever once insinuated that I needed to change this. This is just who I am, right? So we've talked a lot about bad examples. Now we're gonna have some good examples. And I think this may be last popcorn opportunity. So get jazzed. Based on the photos here, what show is this? Yes, sir. Parks and Recreation. I love it. All right, and what is our lead character's name? Leslie Knope. Her best friend? Ann Perkins. Who all here has seen at least one episode of Parks and Rec? And most people. If you haven't, it's a great 30-minute show. I normally don't do comedies. This one's a fun one though, right? Leslie Knope. Amy Poehler, yeah, that's the actress. So Leslie in the show leads the Parks and Recreation department, right? That's her job. And she has this incredible team around her and incredible friends as well. And one of the things that she does incredibly well is with her best friend, Ann Perkins. Leslie is her biggest cheerleader. Leslie says Anne's name in every room that Anne is not in to make sure she gets every opportunity she should get. All right, so as you think about actions you can take coming away from this, there's been that LinkedIn post kind of floating around. That's like, say the name. You need people around you that'll say your name in rooms you're not in, right? That's important. That's really important. So think about that, right? Think about taking that with you. So she does an incredible job of that. And that's kind of a peer relationship, right? She also, as a leader, takes chances, right? She hires a relatively surly yet capable intern. I love the giggles. I forget her name sometimes. Anyone remember? Huh? April, yeah. April's a little rough around the edges, but she is capable. She gets it done, right? Leslie makes sure that she has opportunities. She takes her under her wing. She helps her grow through her career. And she helps her be herself while still learning how to navigate this professional world, right? All of this. And if you think back to yesterday in our external panel, one of the panelists made the comment that, you know, the more you support other people and people see you supporting other people, you start to create this culture where everyone expects that we're all supporting each other. And that's a lot of what you see Leslie do in the show. Now, if you haven't seen the show, I will say Leslie is not perfect. She needs some work-life balance support. I hope Anne helps her on that, all the binders, but a really fun example. And since you can't see super well, I know these are a little small, I really enjoy this one here on the right. Did anyone notice that there are no women on the Gender Equality Commission? All right. So, we've got just a couple minutes left. How many time do I end?
2:35.
35, perfect. We got about 10 minutes. So, this concept of woman-on-woman sabotage honestly goes a lot deeper, doesn't it? It goes into stereotypes. It goes into social norms that we hold each other to. You know, think back to the Barbie movie, right? There's a lot that happens there. One of the things I want to leave you all with is really the power of our language as well. I think someone brought it up this morning or last night, I'm forgetting when. But there's a lot of power in how we talk about each other. So we mentioned that concept of saying the name of the woman in the room she's not in to help her get the access to the right opportunities. Let's also think about how we talk about each other, right? It's gonna help to drive that feeling of equality. It's gonna help to support that understanding that there are more seats at the table today than there were the other day, or 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and there will be even more seats in the future, right? So we've all gotta believe that deep in our soul. Yeah, what's the difference between being assertive and aggressive? Your gender. Awesome. What do you guys think about this? Feel right?
Yeah, very true.
Very true?
And it starts early. You know, I have two girls,
Mm-hmm.
and you hear these words.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, it's a bias.
Mm-hmm. I think societally, we've pushed a lot, I feel like, in body positivity in recent years, and speaking more positively with children and younger people about our bodies, but I think it goes way beyond that. Like, next level is how we start speaking about capabilities. Because it's the same capability. It's not different. And again, right, we have the power, and it goes broader than supporting the women around us. Right? If the women around you know that you're going to speak of them in a way that's equal to the men around you, then they're going to feel a little more comfortable. You're going to start to reduce that potential for a competitive environment, which reduces the potential for some of this sabotage. And all these things start to go together. And now time for an activity. I know. No, I wasn't lazy and didn't clean the tables. These are supposed to be there. So you all should have some pens and some Post-it notes at your tables. We're going to talk a little bit more, but here's what I would like you to do. And you've probably been reading some of them as we've been talking. Like, what the heck have people left here for me? So there's a few things that are out there, and I'd love to see you add to this. So the first thing that folks have been adding to the tables is there something specific that you're going to take from this that you want to go now do with your team or in your day-to-day? Right? So are you committing to say, you know what, I'm never going to say the word bossy again? Easy, simple, right? Or is there something bigger you want to do? The other thing, right, maybe you're digesting that, maybe you're seeing the thing you want to do already on the table 7 times. Is there something we haven't talked about? Or something that you say, man, this is an instinct I have that I don't know how to wrangle yet. So yesterday someone brought up the concept that they hold their female counterparts to a higher standard than their male. Because we know the standard we hold ourselves to, right? So you can put that down there too, right? Or is there something that you would want to provide as inspiration, maybe for a new woman who's joining the team, the thing that worked for you, or the thing you would want them to know coming in? So feel free, add some notes, right? We're going to keep talking. We don't have to come to an all stop for our activity here. All right, and I am going to leave you guys with a few things that we can do today. And we'll open it up for more of what we can do today. So the first thing I'll throw at you, I read a study about how individuals select seats at meetings and at conferences. And women statistically sit on the sides and in the back, right? You know, we're taught to be polite and courteous and, you know, make space for other people. But as we think about driving that equality, right? Driving this feeling of women are welcome and wanted here. I, as a woman, want you here as well. Let's not sabotage each other. Let's help each other. Let's literally make space in the front and the center, right? Let's sit in the front. I challenge all of you, sit in the front for a meeting. Sit in the seat that feels important. Don't look for the one that's least intrusive every time, right? And something I would add to that, bring someone with you, right? Bring maybe the female on your team who is struggling a little bit with some of the self-confidence that a lot of these things take, because we're breaking some deep-seated habits here, right? We're breaking just natural instinct in a lot of ways. We talked quite a bit about it, right? We are allies, we're not competition. Help each other. Reach out to someone next week, help them with something that you're good at, that they're learning to do, right? Recognize that when the next woman enters the team, you know, it's not to take your job, it's to make you be better. The other thing I'll ask, who here has recognized the success of another woman within the last week? About half the room, right? Recognize each other's successes. And I think this honestly kind of starts to hit on CHEP culture. We spend so much time thinking about the things that are broken and the things we need to do that we often don't pause to say, man, we kicked butt on that thing today. Whatever it was, little, small, right? Big, giant thing you've been working on for a year, report you whipped out in a day because Scott and Todd had a crazy idea, so we ran with it, right? Yeah, you're welcome. Love it. All right, let's recognize those moments, recognize those successes, and do it openly. That's the other thing, right? That is key. Not in a way that's going to make someone uncomfortable, because you know your people, right? You know who's more comfortable with praise than others. But again, we're creating that open environment where sabotage is not an instinct anymore. That's the goal. Ask for help and be open to receiving feedback, right? Scary in all situations for a lot of folks, but I think this is an important one, right? And being okay with feedback from women and from your peers in general is really important. And then the last thing I'll leave you with, encourage each other to go for it, right? Go for opportunities. Everyone here has probably heard, you know, women tend not to apply for the role unless they check every box on the job description. We're going to continue to talk about this one because it's just a thing. Encourage each other, right? Expect that more seats will be at the table. We've made so much progress. We're going to keep making progress. We're creating this culture that's going to ensure our progress, but all of us own helping to build that. So those are my things, my can-dos today. Is there anything you guys would add to this? Or to the table? Yeah, Laurent.
As a man, maybe talk to other guys, push them into doing those kinds of things.
Male allies are very important. And I think for men to recognize and understand how women relate to each other, especially in leadership roles, you're going to start to see when there may be behaviors on the team that aren't so great.
I'm just shy of 2 months, and I want to say my first experience, I got to do and meet people very quickly because of these conferences and other opportunities, and initially because of my past experiences, I almost felt like it was insincere. And what I've realized is that it truly is the culture. So pretty cool.
Yeah, there was a conversation yesterday about you have to accept a compliment as a compliment.
It's nothing,
Yeah, that's tough, right? Your first instinct can't be, why did they say that? Why are they being nice to me?
Their whole course is taught on how to accept compliments.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I'm so bad at it.
And I think it's ingrained in a lot of different people to just be like, oh no, instead of saying, you know what, I did this very bad.
Yeah,
You
thank
see
you.
that a lot among women, especially because they're just, it's sad, but it's a culture we've seen around. And so
You're not supposed to brag about yourself.
Exactly. You know, and I'm lucky that I have 2 daughters, and they have a mother that empowers them exponentially.
That's awesome.
You know? And so, you tell them something, they take a compliment. They're like, yeah, I know.
I love it. Yay. Yes, last one.
What he said, it can also be you coming forward to, just kind of congratulate yourself and push yourself out there, but people pushing you back openly, letting you know, you're not she who can be in that position, or just public humiliation, which will cause people to introvert when really they weren't never that way. So you can create it.
That's the question.
How do you, especially if it's your leader, right? How do you get the courage to say, hey, I didn't appreciate that, I didn't like that?
I think courage is the key there, right? And for a lot of us, I know for me personally, right, I won't react in the moment. I'll go and I'll sit on it and I'll think on it, and sometimes that makes it worse, and sometimes it goes away, and sometimes I make a game plan for what conversation do I want to have, and how do I want to have it in a way that will be received and heard.
Or let it go, personally for me, I'll let a lot of things go, and which I shouldn't let them go. I should maybe plan and go back and talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and that's right. You're going to have personal decisions that happen, and people aren't perfect, right? There's going to be stuff that happens in the day-to-day, and intent, right? You can judge intent there, but understanding if things are consistent, right? If there's themes you see, and I know I'm at time, so we got to wrap this. It's every session this has happened. You're fine. You're fine. We can obviously talk a lot more, and I will give a plug for our incredible HR team here as well, as I look at my HR BP in the back. If there's a conversation you're not sure how to have, right? One, we do have those internal board of directors, our personal board of directors. I know I've consulted mine a few times on how would you approach this, but 2, we've got HR BPs out there and other leaders in this organization as well who are more than willing to help you figure out how to navigate. So lots of resources. I'm going to leave you guys with that. We are over time. Thank you all so much. Thank you.